Welcome to This Is a Lot. Today's guest is Alli Jordan, co-founder of LibertyFi, mentor, fintech exec, and mom of 3. What you can expect today. So one, be just bedazzled with Alli as we are. I'm so excited for everyone to get to know you and hear about you. You are just like such a mentor to everyone you meet and such a powerhouse. We're going to learn about how Alli took a leap of faith and knowledge and co-founded a financial firm. We're going to talk about her journey through a male-dominated room and the women who helped you thrive through that, and what Alli wants every woman to know about building a career and a life, and a lot about money, motherhood, mindset, and what's next in the world of Alli.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm so excited.
Can you give a little just elevator pitch on yourself to kick us off?
I'm Alli Jordan. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and the president of LibertyFi. And that's, those 3 things really take up most of my time and energy. And there's a lot of other hobbies that I try to spend time on. But when I think about Alli, that kind of encompasses me and really what I try to focus on every day.
So just in terms of your path, we talk a lot about where we thought we would be. Is this what you pictured?
Gosh, so I grew up in Florida and I live in Alabama, so not necessarily, but I wanted to be in sports medicine. I love sports, I still do. I enjoy, that's in our free time. I enjoy reading about them. The Andrews Institute, whenever I was in high school, they built a state-of-the-art institute down in Gulf Breeze, and so I just had a passion for sports medicine. I went to school for that. I interned for that after college, and by happenstance met a family, and they were like, you need to be in Birmingham and you need to work for my dad's company, and all the stars kind of aligned. And when I got to Birmingham, I lived with a couple of great girls from here, and I had some incredible bosses that really just put me in situations and opened a whole new world to something I didn't even really know anything about business or finance or what that could do. And so to see where I'm sitting now and kind of the journey of the last 14 years has been something that's, I'm definitely really proud of, and it's been a fun, energetic ride, and I've been surrounded by some really, really good people and partners, and still am. So.
Wait, so you didn't graduate in finance?
No, I have a health science degree.
I had no idea. This is so fun. Truly, I had no idea. That's amazing.
Yeah, health.
How cool. That's amazing. I think that's so cool. We talked about Nicole went from an executive assistant to president so fast. You went from literally not even studying finance to founding and being president of a financial firm in 15 years? That's crazy. Yeah. Not even?
Not even. I guess I graduated in 2011. So 14 years later, here we are. But it's been, I kind of, that's something I look back on, and I'm like, man, I wish I would have gone to Florida and gotten a business degree, and how valuable that would be to me probably today. But I wouldn't be in the same seat that I am today if that's what I did. So, but I do think, I always kind of wanted to bet on myself, and I like that. In business and in kind of the world that we live in, you don't really have a ceiling. You can bet on yourself to keep climbing that ladder, which is something that I learned early on in the financial services space. That really gives you an opportunity to kind of grow in yourself and in your profession and in who you want to be. So that I think this industry sometimes gets a bad rap for, like anything. You look at Wall Street, you look at male dominance, but really what it's given me is the ability to be a good mom, to find who I want to be, and really kind of grow on that corporate ladder at the same time.
Can you walk us through, just for listeners, obviously, what your job is? What does it look like day to day?
Yeah, our job is, it's unique on a day-to-day basis. No day is the same. But really what we do, our team, LibertyFi is a service organization to support independent financial advisors. And so on a day-to-day basis, we are helping them to create a practice where they can provide holistic services to the end client like you and I. So we don't deal with end clients. We deal with those financial advisors that kind of have bet on themselves to go out into independence, which is, again, something we all have done also alongside them. So it really looks more like a partnership. They're an extension of our team, and that's what LibertyFi is. And in my role, sitting as the president of the company, it's there's day-to-day escalation, there's new business, there's making sure the team feels supported. So it's a lot of different hats and roles, responsibilities that we all do, but on a day in, day out basis. So.
Awesome. Can you go back, because you mentioned mentors, and I feel like for us that's such a key place of interest. Obviously that's what this podcast was born from, just like the power of having like women in mentorship. And I think a lot of us wish we had more of that. And it sounds like you've had a really nice experience in that. So can you give us a little bit more details about like who these mentors have been and what that impact had on you?
Yes, gosh, I had two like just fabulous people whenever I went into the world of finance. One being Libet, who was my direct boss, and then Trey, who ended up being my co-founder in LibertyFi. But especially I'll kind of focus on Libet a little bit because she at the time that I started working with her, like, she was a working mom of 3. She ran our group, she just was a boss. Seeing how she interacted with kind of the younger generation and how to grow us, she had a real passion for helping us and guiding us and giving us opportunity to be in places and in meetings that we didn't necessarily need to be in. And so that was always really powerful. And the other thing with her, there was 3 female coworkers that I watched have their first baby underneath her on our team. And the way that she kind of supported them and encouraged them to don't stop working full time. Like if you need to take a step out and give yourself some space, like during this transition, that's okay. And like, I'll support you for that, but keep a toe in. You've created this career for yourself. You just never know what can happen, right? If you solely rely on someone else to kind of set you up to be successful, you just don't know what'll happen. And so that was something really early on that she kind of showed me, just in the way that she encouraged and led and mentored all of us. That really has stood out, and I hope I've done the same for a few on our team as well. That was a big thing of Libet. And then Trey, it's funny, you think about like the old guy in the room, and he was tenured and kind of the CEO of our group, and but one thing about him is he thinks females are like the way of the future. He has 2 daughters. He surrounded himself with really intelligent women, and he's like, women get things done. Like, you guys are who I want to work with. And so that was always, again, he kind of pushed me and put us in situations that I didn't necessarily deserve to be on early on, but he always kind of was right there making sure that he felt that I did deserve it, and I needed to recognize that.
That's incredible. And so you ultimately ended up co-founding your company with Trey, right?
Yes. So we did that back in 2017.
Oh, wow. And can you walk us through what made you do that? What made you take that leap?
Yeah. So it was, again, all stars aligning, right? I went and got a health science degree, and now I'm in finance. But we went through.
I'm still baffled. I'm sorry. I can't believe it.
We went through a couple acquisitions, which had front row seats to those, and that was an interesting time period just to see like large corporations and what that does to people and decisions that have to be made. And Trey kind of had the foresight of like, we've got something cool going. We've got a really good group of people that want to keep working together. I think the way of the future is this B2B space, and having a high touch service organization is going to be something that's valued. And so he kind of had some of the brains behind it, and I had some of the operational know-how behind it. And we had a crew of people that we knew we wanted to come with us on this journey, which was really helpful as well. And it took a while because you have different people involved, who's going to be fund the company, what the cap table is going to look like, what are we going to leave on the table. There was a lot of decisions that need to be made, and Trey wanted to make sure that we were surrounded by the right people early on, and that was a big deal to him. And so things just took a little more time, but that was a super valuable lesson to me of, again, when you're starting to do things that you're taking leaps of faith and you want to do something for yourself, it's just making sure you're around good people that have the same kind of intention, your best interest at heart, right? Like there's a lot of people out there that, may say the right things, but I want to make sure they're doing the right things. So it took us a little while, but we launched, and we haven't looked back since.
I love that. And I love, like, just to underscore, because we've talked a little bit about this, and I don't think anything's wrong. It's just what's right for you in terms of the size of an organization. And there's, like, such beauty when you find your, like, wheelhouse for just, like, what you like. And it sounds like that's something that you've found and that you've thrived in that size and that space.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I was talking to someone the other day about our job is unique and our team is unique, and there's 7 of us, and we're all kind of in the same phase of life, and we, all have lots of little kids under 7, and there's a lot of them that are girls, and so there's a lot of emotion at our lunch table whenever we're talking about what happened the day before, the night before, or the morning of. But it's a really unique environment for sure, and it's something, I feel so lucky on a daily basis to be surrounded by the group that we're with. And I think that's another, I think about working moms and balance and life and just like what matters, right? Like, what do I want to be intentional about, and how can I control that? And man, what a blessing my group has been in our work environment. Like, you really can't ask for something. There's of course hard times and hard days and hard things, but we've definitely created something special for sure.
Yeah, and I've witnessed it. You really have created like an unbelievable culture, and it's amazing how like Birmingham knows about LibertyFi. Like, y'all created a brand, like a personnel brand, like, a corporate brand, but also a personnel brand. People know what it means to work for Alli Jordan, and I think that's beautiful as like your leadership style, and then also just like what you've done for the company. So this is a really good leadway into, you are a mom, and I think you've really done a beautiful job of like intertwining that in your story. How do you feel like becoming a mom has shaped how you lead and live?
Yeah. Well, as we, the three of us all, there's so much to that question that we can unpack.
A little chuckle at the end. I'm like, that's a loaded question.
But I think so my oldest is 6, or she's 5.5. So we were a couple of years into LibertyFi whenever I got pregnant with her, and I was like a little terrified, but also like knew like, okay, eventually I'm gonna have children, and we're gonna have this company, and it's gonna be okay. So I remember making the call to Trey, like, well, got some news, and he was like, this is the best news ever. I was like, okay, this is good. And I joked, I sent out to our team, how I told them was I sent a blank document and said LibertyFi maternity leave policy, because we didn't, we didn't have one, we didn't know what we were doing. But
it's just a blank page.
There's a blank page. It's like, well, what is it? I don't know.
Gotta figure it out.
But we, I think I've changed so much because of them, and so my oldest I have two daughters, Annie and then Mead, and then the little boy now who's 3 months. But as you become like, I feel like early on in my career I was like a little like reactive, I'm one, I don't have, whenever I hear something or something comes up, I kind of am a reactive person, right? I don't think about it, I don't take time. I think that's probably more female oriented, but
you're not alone. I'm like,
like you can't pick up your shoes, like I'm going to, I feel like I had that in work as well. And so, but what's really changed since becoming a mom and kind of on the working side is like, okay, intention, being content with like certain things, and just learning how to kind of control my emotion of like what matters, like what, the clients first, but like around that, like what kind of matters and how we navigate that. I think just there's a lot of coexistence in motherhood and business and doing that. And so they've definitely taught me a lot of patience and ways to handle situations, because they're watching and they're learning at every little thing that we do.
So you've literally, your accomplishments are just extensive and wonderful. And how have you balanced all of that? Of like, obviously, from my seat, you've gone 100%, like just 100 miles an hour at work, but somehow you've gone 110 miles an hour in your personal life too. How do you balance all that? Like, do you have a secret sauce?
No secret sauce. I will say a really good husband. That's really helpful in all of it, because our work is, we travel, there's always things that come up, and that's been super helpful. But, early on, we kind of had to sit down and be like, okay, how do we do this? Like, he has a great job and career as well, so like we've got to figure this out for both of us. And I think I know you guys have mentioned this on the podcast before, but outsourcing is like a huge thing for me. Like, I have full-time care for the kids, which is great. I hired a babysitter to pick them up a few days a week just to give me my time back, where I don't feel guilty of like leaving them at school till 6 o'clock. And just finding ways, like the cleaning ladies, the food delivery, there's things that as kind of working moms you have to make decisions around of like, okay, what is the investment to me, and what does that provide to our family, and how can I have time and pour back into myself that gives us the ability to kind of keep going. And another thing that I did early on with LibertyFi is, and this was kind of pre-kids too, but was like I needed a hobby, right? And so tennis, and so I took up tennis, and it's like that was a calendar thing. Like, that's on my calendar. I'm gonna play tennis, and I'm gonna go do that for myself, and I need that, and I've been able to kind of continue to do that throughout all 3 kids and the business growing. And I think finding something for yourself, whether, whatever it is, whenever it is, but I think that has been a kind of crucial component to being able to stay grounded to what's important on all the other stuff that's going on. And it was funny, when I first started playing tennis, I was like, oh, I gotta get my Apple Watch so I can make sure like I'm available on the court, if something comes up. And I was like, after the first few times, I'm like, I'm not wearing my Apple Watch on the court. Like, this 1 hour is for me, and everyone else can just take a minute. So
yeah, I love that. I don't know if you realized you were who I was referencing on our first podcast. I was like, oh, a mentor of mine told me you need to start outsourcing. And I will never forget. I remember we were talking at somewhere at some point, and I was like, I just can't do it. And I think I was probably just having a mental breakdown. And I did not have a cleaner. I did not have I was
Ellie, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I remember you just being like, what, why? There's no reason why you shouldn't do this. And I remember Davis and I had a conversation that night, and he was like, you're doing this to yourself. I'm telling you right now, why, let's get a cleaner. Let's do whatever. And it's changed my life dramatically of just I can rely on other people. I was just trying to control things that I didn't need to control, that weren't bringing me any value.
Right.
And so you dug me out of that hole. I want to go, you talk a lot about, so first of all, you probably don't even recognize you do it, but you constantly say we when you talk about your business. And that is just amazing. And I think that's something that I pick up on in leaders all the time. The good leaders say we, the bad leaders say I. And I think that's something I'm trying to get cognizant of too, but you are constantly saying we, and I think that's wonderful. But you are such a mentor to not only your team, other younger women. What is one piece of advice that looking back you wish you could tell yourself, maybe your first kid, or I think the second's the hardest, looking back, what's
number 3, what are we gonna do? No.
Yeah, I need to take notes. I know you're only 3 months in, but where are we at on this number 3 thing?
Oh, I know. I think a lot of the advice, and I've had the pleasure of watching, since we've had LibertyFi, there's 16 kids. I believe 14 of them have been born underneath the LibertyFi, umbrella. And we're about to have, number 15 here in a few weeks with one of our coworkers. So we've seen the transition of motherhood and fatherhood, which I think is such a key component too. I could spend a lot of time about that and just working environments and dads and how they need to be treated also. But, I look back at the advice of how do you navigate it all, and I really go to the outsourcing thing. You've got to give yourself grace, and you've got to figure out what makes you be able to do all the things you have to do. And there's some things you've got to give up, but you've got to figure out how can I go back to intentionality. How can I be intentional when I'm home with the kids, because I'm not with them all the time, which is fine. That's a choice that I've made. But when I'm with them, I want to be able to be intentional with them. And so what do I need to do outside of that to make that happen? And the same thing at work. When I'm there and we're doing things, I want to be intentional with the team and what we're doing. And so that's something that I leaned on. I navigated that with Annie, and with Mead, I was kind of in a groove of the intentionality and the time and the balance. Everyone, this is so cliche. Everyone's like, oh, work-life balance. There is no balance. There really is no balance. It's just there's time buckets, and how you do that and where you prioritize is the best way that I've been able to navigate it.
Yeah. Well, navigate is a good word. It's not a balance. It's a navigation.
That's what I was going to say. And so important too. A lot of times we're do you have advice? And it's you just said you got to get in a groove. And I really believe that's a thing with childcare. Even I'm just now coming to a point of my mindset around childcare needs to be that I don't only need to work, right? There are other things that can get done during that time. But you just feel you're not pouring as much into work that you once were. So it's every minute you have, I have to be pouring into. And sometimes you find yourself just scrolling your email and you're wait, I need to go to the food store, or do I need someone else to do that, or whatever. And you find your group in the things that you can outsource to your point. And sometimes you're I kind of like going to the food store. And that's just
the food store. That's so busted.
We got the grocery or the pig, but
what's the food store?
Oh, that's the first time we were saying like we're gonna run into little like regional things.
That one took me a minute, Nicole. I'm not
You were
gonna-
like, but I do. I think like it's like people want advice of like right now, and you just said it. It's like you find your groove, and everyone's got a different one. But I feel like that's a good kind of pivot because you were just giving advice like young women starting out, and like I want to flip us back toward just like advice for like just young ambitious women. So I guess like starting out, whether someone's in your field or not, what do you wish people knew about financial services or just like money in general?
There's so many ways you could go with that, and I think like if I think about just women in general, right, and like how they're navigating their careers and just staying in it. Again, when I go back to Libet and just saying like keep one foot in, you just never know what's going to happen. I just like feel that so strongly, and so I'm kind of trying to navigate with anyone that I talk to, like with that being kind of the goal in mind of like how can we keep you involved and kind of navigate around it. But I think that's more so on the parenting side of it, but just kind of figuring out your career. I think being passionate about something is really important. I think we're like loaded on the freedom thing with social media, right? It's like finding your freedom, which, I think there's a lot of value in that, obviously, but it's also like, let's Instagram reality, right? Like a lot of people have to work. And so like, what does that actually look like and mean? And so figuring out for you, like just what you can be passionate about. Like I go back to like the sports medicine thing. I love sports. I loved helping people. I like that you had a role on the team. And so like I look at where I am now, and those are still all the things that I'm doing, right?
Okay, I want to ask what's next for you personally, professionally? You just had a 3-month-old, so also that's a loaded question because you're like, I'm surviving.
I think about it, and
Yeah, let's dig into the third kid thing.
The third kid is so different. It's been like, I don't even want to say it out loud because it's just been, I don't know. And I think it's more of like, I'm older, I have more confidence in being a mom, all of those things. Like, but it's been really good. We've had a fun, after you get out of the fog. It's been a blessing. I'll say that. It's been great to be home with him and kind of being in a work situation where I could be. And again, like, the team being around me. But I think about like the next couple months, I'm going back to work here in a few weeks. My oldest is starting kindergarten. Like there's so much to just that and from a transition and what's next. And so I'm looking forward to navigating those. I'm going to try to give myself a lot of grace during all of that and getting back on my feet and what that actually looks like. I can say it's been the last few weeks, I've kind of been dipping toes in both sides. And yeah, it's been good and easy because I'm sitting at home in my PJs. Like I blew dry my hair today for the first time in I don't know how long. So, but I am looking forward to this next year. I'm pumped for Annie. I think she's going to transition well to kindergarten and that kind of newness and watching that. And then we got a lot of exciting things going on at work. And so getting back in the seat there. Like the other day I told someone, I was like, I'm ready. I miss it. Like I'm ready to kind of be back and settled in it. And again, I don't take for granted the last 13 weeks that I've got to be home. I think that's incredible and I think it's important. And that's something that's important to me for our team. So, but yeah, that's what's next. So we'll navigate it together here, but it's going to be a fun few months.
So 3 months, 5 years-ish. And what's the middle?
3.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are some tight age gaps.
They are.
They're all You've done a wonderful job. They're all like the sweetest kids.
Oh,
so.
There's a lot of emotion.
I have like literally not taken notes ever on anything that we've done, and I'm like taking.
Nicole's like, "Don't, Ellie. I know you want to do the lightning round. It's not time."
Yeah, it's not time. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna rattle this off, but honestly, like I'm super ADD, and so I love like when people are like, "This is what you should take out of this." First of all, so much like amazing knowledge coming from you, and I'm so jealous because Allie, like
I told you.
I know Allie gets to like be friends with you, and like I have to live like on the other side of the world. But if you're ever in Boston, look me up.
I'm always available.
I love when you started off talking about like there was like questions, like it's like, oh, it's a male dominated industry and all these things. Like I love that you didn't sort of, again, I'm using that word too much, but polarize the two. Like I actually have worked with my dad for the last decade. And so, we have 4 girls in my family and our whole leadership team is women. And there isn't this like girls versus guys vibe. It's very similar to what you just said, like guys kind of laughing, being like, yeah, I feel like you guys are good at what do you do, you know? So it's like you gave off such a good inclusive vibe of just like you mentioned fatherhood and like actually acknowledging the father and the transition that they're making. Like it's just such an inclusive vibe that you're putting out there. And I really want that to be clear when we sort of deliver this, because I think it's so important. Like everybody can kind of coexist, right? You just have to.
Yeah, I feel like that's one thing that I learned early on. It was like for me to be able to do what I want to do, I need Michael to be able to be, and he wanted to be. Like it wasn't like, I needed him to be able to be a co-parent, right? Like we are in this together, and so that's always been really important for the guys that on our team. It's like, no, leave early, do that, go to the games, go to the work from home, whatever it needs. We all are like in this together, and so being present and like that is such a huge thing for us. And so there's easier days and harder days about it, but I just think it definitely takes two to make it work for.
Yeah. And you said, and I swear I'm almost done, Allie's going to kill me, but like pour back into yourself. And I feel like that's what you're essentially saying. It's like, it's going to look different. That was like, I'm still not figuring that out, but it's like, that's going to look different for dad versus mom. What does pour back into yourself mean or look like? I'm figuring that out. But I love that you said that, because it's such like a simple, like when you said it, I wrote it down, because it's like, you have to really figure out what that looks like. You going and doing like playing tennis, which is the last thing I wrote down. Like now I'm like, I have to play tennis because Allie keeps talking about it. So I'm like, this is a thing for me. But like that might not be what people need, right? They might need something else, like the food store.
Today I've had a facial that I've like had to reschedule a couple times. That's another thing I do. I have a monthly facial, so pour back into myself. But
Happy to run that too.
It's a great deal. So it makes total. It's very girl math, but it makes total sense. But I've been trying to figure it out. And I haven't been able to get it scheduled with the baby and just all the moving pieces of all the children. And so today I got a babysitter for 2 hours so I could go to get a facial. It wasn't as long as I thought it was. So then I went on a walk by myself and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get back early. I told the girl I was going to be gone for 2 hours. I'm going to be gone for 2 hours. And I got back and I was like, that was wonderful. Like you just have
to showered and blew dry your hair and you're like,
I was like, you have to figure out, and I know it's so much easier said than done because it's so easy to get trapped in the guilt, in the working mom guilt, in just the guilt, right? And it's like, you have to figure that out for yourself of what can you do to kind of keep you, like, it's this oxygen mask. Like you have got to be taken care of first so that you can pour into everything else around you.
I love that.
How many mic drops have we had? We're joking around like last and we're like,
That was a good one.
That's definitely. I'm gonna start putting like emojis in here and be like,
okay, you can get to your lightning round now.
We're gonna get into it. The first one is, what is your go-to coffee order?
Okay, my coffee is. My husband works for a coffee company, so we have really good coffee at home, and I drink it black. But whenever I go, there's church for the Birmingham locals, Church Street, chai every time. It is so good.
Favorite mantra that you come back to?
Gosh, I said this on a work call the other day, and I was like, I probably shouldn't have said that. But if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And I'm not great at it, but I try to remind myself of that often.
One thing that you hope your kids learn from watching you work?
There's, again, loaded, especially with 2 little girls. There's a lot that I hope that they take away. But just being able to be passionate about something, surrounding yourself with good people, knowing you can do what you want to do, like those, if any of that comes true, then I'll feel good about it.
I love that. What would you think your mentor would say? I should have them on and have just like a little clip it. What do you think Libet and Trey would say about you? Or you can choose like, what is there one word that your mentor would say?
This is like a little... I would say Libet would be like, I'm not surprised. I say that, and this just speaks volumes of her. Whenever I started working for her, my parents were in Florida, and she wrote them like this thank you note about like, and I was like, I don't deserve this, and they didn't tell me about it for a long time, of just about like my potential and how happy she was to have me a part of the team, and just, again, I didn't know that happened until a lot later on, many years after working for her. She just,
an incredible person.
She saw something in me I never would have seen in myself. So
I feel like we need to get her.
It's always a pleasure to. She would be a great older side.
Both of you.
Yeah, but it's always.
That gave me chills. She's amazing.
When I get to go get a drink or coffee with her.
I love that. Okay, so my favorite, which is, do you have a mom fail of the week or a mom win of the week?
Oh gosh, too many fails. No. Okay, let me think for a second. Sorry, I should have. I knew this was.
I didn't prep you. That's
I know,
fine.
but then I didn't see it on the lightning round, so I was like, I need to think about it.
Sorry.
No,
I
you're
forgot
good.
to add it. I always have like,
Yeah.
Really
So mom win of the week is we were at the beach last week, and this is stupid, but you know, the girls are always like asking to go in the pool and do, you know, swim. And so I was all in. I swam in the pool. I went and we jumped in the Gulf and the waves. And like, I was very present with them at, you know, 12 weeks postpartum, which is a really fun time to be in the pool. So I'll give that as my win. A mom fail. I mean, there literally is just too many, but I try to keep them light. But let's see, mom fail. This is kind of, so mom fail. We were on vacation. They stay up too late. Annie does not do well with staying up late, but like that was what was convenient for all of us. And then the next morning, whenever, you know, she's a complete terror, I'm just like on her and yelling. And Michael is like, Allie, we did this to her. This is not her fault. And I'm like, okay, I shouldn't yell at her. I joke about it, like, you know, we're so preached like the positive parenting and like, you know, you have to do all these things and like spend the time, which I do. We try to implement some of that, which may or may not work. But then when they don't listen and they're so whiny, I just like sometimes yell, and that's just what's going to happen. And I don't know how you avoid that. So
it's honest and real, and we all do it. So I appreciate
any positive parenting experts can let us know how to not yell. That would be great.
The best thing I've heard is that you can always pay for their therapy later. It's funny. I'm joking, kind of.
No.
Allie, this has been amazing. Again, so many mic drops, so many like just good feelings. You're incredible. I'm so happy to be able to share you with so many people. We've been like just like blown away by the amount of people that have texted us being like, this is what I want. I want a community. I want to hear it from other moms. And so we really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story. We've loved being here with you.
Thank you. And thanks for the platform that you guys are providing to all the mamas out there.